Hello, my fellow warriors and listeners. Welcome to the podcast of a diary of a Fibro warrior. I'm Chico. I hope you're doing as well as possible and preparing for the cold winter months ahead. I can't believe that summer is already over and we're already into fall. I hope you enjoy the summer period. It's been a little while since we last connected. Life got a little bit hectic on my end. Don't we love it when that happens? Anyway, let's dive into today's important discussion and get straight into the matter at hand. From 9 to 5 to surviving, navigating employment as a fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue warrior. Are you forced to choose between your health and a stable job? Today we're going to be exploring the challenges and alternatives for those living with chronic illnesses such as fibromyalgia. This past few weeks, I've been reflecting on the challenges of finding and keeping work as somebody living with a chronic illness. It's something I know many of you can relate to. The obstacles we face in ordinary work environments are and can be overwhelming and unfortunately often misunderstood by others. For those of you like me who have had to take a step away from full employment due to the severity of symptoms, you understand that living isn't an easy decision to make. And it's something that can either happen instantaneously or something that eventually you may feel as though you're being forced out due to the unfortunate circumstances of developing a severe chronic condition. I had to leave my full-time job after months of struggling with the severe chronic symptoms I was experiencing at the time. And despite support from my manager and occupational therapist with reasonable adjustment, it wasn't enough to maintain my overall health, well-being, or to even manage a work-life balance. Ultimately, in the end, although it wasn't an instantaneous decision, I decided that it was best to leave in order to focus on my well-being and healing. And realistically, at that time, I was not in a position to be able to work either way. And I'm just going to give you some examples of some of the challenges many of us face in terms of navigating the ordinary 9 to 5, as you may call it, work or professional career. Starting off with some of the symptoms you might experience that pose a challenge. And this is also to help other people become familiar who may not have full insight as to the reason why people with chronic illnesses such as fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome might struggle to stay in work, to retain the same job, and to find new work. So some of the symptoms that I also experience, for example, chronic fatigue and insomnia. You may experience that waking up early or staying alert throughout the day can be incredibly challenging, and the fatigue doesn't stop at work. It often carries over into your personal life, leaving you with no energy or anything else post your workday. Then brain fog and memory issues. The unpredictability of brain fog makes it tough to stay sharp, to stay alert, and retaining or calling information becomes a daily battle, making even simple tasks feel monumental. And there's the feeling of sensory overload, overstimulation from noise, movement, environmental activity, such as people talking or you being constantly like on the phone or engaging in meetings, talking to other people, can lead to cognitive overwhelm, and other commotion often exacerbates symptoms. And chronic pain. Sitting or standing for long periods can trigger unbearable discomfort. Finding a comfortable position without worsening the pain almost feels impossible on some days. This is something that you might also be experiencing at the moment or have experienced in the past, where you find it very uncomfortable to sit or stand for a prolonged period, which can then trigger on other symptoms such as chronic pain, fatigue, and you name it. Then moving into digestive and bladder issues, some of the symptoms which are not talked about often enough, but then this also can be stressful, and for some people it can create it can be anxiety inducing, such as digestive discomfort, bladder sensitivities, or food triggers can add up to stress, especially in a workplace with rigid break schedules. Then moving on to work stress and Fibro flares. So environmental stresses, often beyond our control, can lead to flare-ups, making even the simplest of tasks seem unmanageable. So you might even be in the situation where you feel like, oh, you can do everything and you're getting on very well, but then not realizing that although you are getting on very well, you are caught up in a fast-paced environment which is beyond your control. And some of the result or the impact is the physical impact of either moving too quickly or having to do tasks very quickly, which eventually does lead to feeling exhausted, or it can lead to potential flare-ups. As much as you have like good intentions, your body and mind may often say no. There's something else that they would rather be doing, and that's not going beyond certain points that are predicted by work environments. So those are just some examples of the symptoms that can make it very difficult for an individual or for you to continue working in that environment without feeling the impact of all those symptoms. So we move on to the dilemma: do you stay or go from your current employment? At some point, you may find yourself asking yourself this: should I stay in my current job despite the financial pressures and the daily toll it takes on my health? Or should I leave, hoping to find a better balance for your well-being? Neither option is easy, and the longer you remain out of the workforce as well, the harder it might become to adjust physically and mentally going back into ordinary work life. So when I mean ordinary, it's a work environment where you have certain restrictions, where you're meant to be there for specified times, like the 9 to 5 that I've given you as an example, and also specified break times, which pose a challenge for a lot of people who are suffering from fibromyalgia and other chronic related symptoms. So is there a solution? Now, there isn't a one-size-fits-all. There are few potential options that might help you find some balance. The first one, which I mentioned earlier, was negotiating reasonable adjustments, possibly as your first attempt if you still feel that you're fit enough to continue working. If your symptoms are somewhat manageable, you could attempt self-advocating for better accommodations within your work environment with your employer and occupational health to help you within your current role. So it's all based on assessments and then identifying whether that environment can be sufficiently accommodating for you to be able to have a work-life balance. And in most cases, for some people, it can still be quite challenging with the reasonable adjustments in place. Then the second one is prioritizing quality of life. So you may choose that leaving your job might initially feel like a loss, but it can also provide you the space for a healthier and more balanced lifestyle. Although it may not happen immediately, you may also have the opportunity initially to just focus on your health and your well-being, and then ultimately decide what is best as an alternative. So then this fits in nicely to exploring new career paths. It may be that considering retaining a new field of work or career might be more suitable in your circumstance, such as finding remote work, flexible ways of working that allow you to work at your own pace in a comfortable environment, whether that be remote or in a place where, if you like interacting with people, it's just finding a place that feels comfortable according to your health needs. And sometimes that can be quite tricky and take a long time. The other one that I found useful after I started to really focus on my health and well-being was looking for networking opportunities, professional networking, and places that were more focused on positive outlooking in terms of personal development. And this helped quite a lot. I met people who were also looking to change their career paths, and it wasn't necessarily focused on fibromyalgia. It was just like minds looking to do something that they've always wanted to do, but had never had the opportunity to be able to do that. So by throwing yourself in that environment, it can challenge you to then dig deeper to look at what other opportunities are there, things that you might have stopped yourself from doing before. And now this could be an opportunity for you then to start looking at new ventures of what you can realistically do that are better suited to your health needs. So the examples that I'm giving here are just that you may be in a place where you might feel as though you're trapped and there's no other alternatives. And this just gives you insight into that there are possibilities. They might not happen immediately, but it's an opportunity to start outlining a new future outlook, exactly what you could do in terms of new career paths, networking, new opportunities in a balanced manner where you're able to do that and then start to then take those small steps forward. So these were just examples, and hopefully some of what I've shared has resonated with you. When I left my traditional 9-to-5 office job, I felt an overwhelming sense of loss, not just in terms of income, but also in my identity, as at the time I didn't know what the future outlook would be like. So not having a future outlook, although in the past I had dreamt of doing certain things, but at that point it was like, oh, I haven't planned anything and I don't have a safety net as such. But looking back, I realized that it wasn't the job as such that I was missing or I was stressed or worried over. It was more about the fear of financial insecurity. Well, what was going to happen without something that had always kept me a safety net, as you may call it. But then when I look back, when I was at work, I often dreamt of working independently without any limitations, of being in an office environment, and also administrative limitations. There were times I felt frustrated, saying, oh, I need to do something independently. When I'm working on a one-to-one with people, a group of people, I'd feel like I have more freedom doing something independently. So looking back, it goes to show that possibly, and I know I was definitely meant to be doing other things, but when something else impedes, like a chronic health condition, it feels painful at that given point, and you see nothing else, because it's like you're being forced all of a sudden to redirect your life without any preparation. So what I'm just sharing here is that although you're never prepared or you haven't been prepared, ultimately there's going to be a way. It probably might take some time to get to that stage. Just take it one day at a time. And for me, it hasn't been an easy journey. And although it hasn't been an easy journey, I've come to accept my abilities and limitations. And ultimately, I decided that my prioritizing my health and well-being was better. And I found new paths that align with my needs and values along the way as well, as a result of all of this. So you might feel as though at this point you're losing your job, or you have lost your job, your identity, and your financial stability. But then when you flip the coin, you could also gain something invaluable, an opportunity to manage your condition more effectively whilst still contributing in ways that work best for you. So I'll end it off here, and I'll leave you with a question. Have you ever had to make the difficult decision to prioritize your health over your career? And if so, how did you manage the emotional and financial challenges that followed? I'd love to hear your stories. Thank you for connecting with me and for your ongoing contributions. And remember to take care of yourself first. Until next time. Bye for me for now. Ciao.